Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another video. What we're going to do today is we're going to be looking at our 2025 to 2026 Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team. This is the runner-ups to the national championship last season. Expectations are still high. Can they finish the job they started last season? Can they not just get back to the national championship? Can they win it this year? Is this the year where Notre Dame, it's been decades, but this team, they've been flirting with that national championship for a while. Marcus Freeman, he has this team ready to go. They are experienced veteran players, the run game, the offensive line. We're going to completely break this team down, look at the rosters, the offense, the defense, the coaching staff, and try to predict the outcome for their final record, as well as every single game this season. First things first, though, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, by all means, drop them below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? What are your thoughts on their season? What are your thoughts on these matchups? Make sure to let me know, and I will make sure that I respond to every single comment. If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, look down at the pinned comment below. Click on that link. You can sign up there, and I will definitely appreciate it. Once the season starts, guys, summer is almost over. Once we get towards the end of it, we have college football and the NFL seasons finally kicking off. We cannot wait for football season to be back. So if you're a football fan, if you're a sports fan, make sure to like and subscribe. Every week, once the season starts, we go over every game. We break them all down. College football, NFL. We do predictions. We do best bets, the money lines, the spreads, the over-unders. We touch on everything. So this is the place for your in-depth football analysis once the season starts. But let's not waste any more time. Let's look at this. We already mentioned, obviously, the big fact, and that was that Notre Dame was the runner-up to the national championship last season. They now sit as a team that everyone has to take serious. The big knock on Notre Dame, I never thought it, but a lot of people used to say they couldn't compete in the trenches depth-wise. They couldn't compete with the Big Ten, with the SEC. Well, after that playoff round, don't forget last season we had a 12-team playoff. Notre Dame proved that it could compete with anyone in the nation, whether it was the Penn States, the Georgias. They could line up with them. They could out-muscle them at the line of scrimmage. And this is the team now. They're going to have a great offensive line. They have a top 10 offensive line. Some people think they even have a top 5 offensive line. They have Jeremiah Love, might be the single best running back in the entire nation. They're going to be lining up in the eye. They're going to be running it down your throat with that heavy offensive line. They're going to lean on teams. They're going to suck up the clock. They're going to control time of possession. They did lose Riley Leonard. Now, in my personal opinion, I do not think that Riley Leonard was the reason they made the national championship last season. But one thing he had going for them, he was a dual threat quarterback. He could make those third and long plays when he had to make a third and long play, but it was his physicality in the running game that was a game changer. He was a dual threat quarterback. He could extend plays with his legs on, second and 5 or third and 5. You had to consider the running quarterback, the mobile quarterback. That completely changes the way that defenses have to approach every single game. He's gone now. Now you have potentially C.J. Carr taking over at the quarterback position. You do not ever want to underestimate having an experienced veteran quarterback. That's one thing that Leonard had going for him transferring over from Duke. C.J. Carr doesn't have that. He's going to be catching his reps in real time, game time. You never want to put too much into the spring game because technically everyone usually looks good in the spring game, but C.J. Carr is going to have a lot of pressure on him leading the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, one of the biggest brands in college football, but he's going to have some help. We already mentioned Jeremiah Love, the best running back in the nation. He's going to have Fields. He's going to have Faison. He's going to have Greathouse. The plays that Greathouse made in the playoffs, they were game-changing. This is going to be your vertical deep threat. They're going to be able to extend the field, make that deep vertical passing game, which is going to help the run game. The run game is in turn going to help the passing game. They complement one another. When you have a great running game going, that is going to open up the play action. Notre Dame, they're not going to put too much pressure on Calder's shoulders. They're not a pass-first team. They are a run-first line of scrimmage, trench warfare team. That's the way they want to beat you. That's the way that they're going to approach this game. Denbrock, extremely experienced on the offensive side. He's going to take the skill set of his playmakers, of his quarterback. He's going to adapt his play calling to the strengths of this team. At the tight end, you have right on looking at this offensive line. They are stacked. But obviously, we know that Notre Dame, the amount of takeaways they had last season, they were top 5 in all of college football in takeaways. They're going to have a great secondary. They're going to have a great front seven. The pressure their front seven got, even with all of the injuries last season, was remarkable. This was a team that finished the regular season, finished the playoffs with a top 5 overall defense. Not top 10, Not top 20, not the top 5. They were aggressive. They had turnovers. They lived in the backfield. I love when you have aggressive defensive lines living in the backfield beyond the line of scrimmage. Tackles for a loss, quarterback pressures, sacks. When your secondary can hold the fort down there, that lets your front seven just pin their ears back, come after the quarterback. That's the way that they're going to live here. But these very first couple games, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Carr. Freeman, though. Freeman has answered the call. He took this team further than Brian Kelly did. Yes, Brian Kelly made the natty before, but he got curb stomped. That's not the case with Freeman. Freeman showed heart. This team fights for him. This team loves him. You have a great young college football coach for your team. If you are a Notre Dame fan, the future is very bright. Let's not waste any more time, though. Let's start looking at these games. Notre Dame, I say it every season, they are not afraid to play any team, any place, anytime in the nation. They're not in a conference. They could easily have a cupcake schedule the entire season, 12 games of just beating garbage Power 4 teams. They don't do that. They'll go to any conference and they will play you. They start out the season Sunday, August 31st at the Miami Hurricanes. We know what happened to Notre Dame last time they took the road down to Miami. They got curb stomped. That was years ago. That is not this team. That's not going to help Miami now. That's not going to hurt Notre Dame now. Notre Dame, experienced team, veteran team, except at the most important position on the field, CJ Carr. His very first game on the road, it is going to be extremely hot. It is going to be humid. The Miami Hurricanes are going to want to lean on you. They also have a top 10 offensive line. They have a really good run game. They want to lean on you. They want to beat you the way that Notre Dame wants to beat you. That is at the line of scrimmage. One thing Miami does have going for them, yes, they had a god-awful defense last season, but they have a new defensive coordinator. They have a very skilled roster. They just needed a coordinator who could take his skill set players and adapt the scheme to them. Heatherman's going to be able to do that. Mario Cristobal here, you got to win this big game. This is a huge game that could catapult your season. Notre Dame, no matter what, you are sitting perfectly coming into this season, overall top 10 team to start the year. But CJ Carr, will he be able to answer the call right off the bat on the road, in the heat, in the humidity? That's a lot to ask to me. I'm going to go with Notre Dame dropping their very first game. Don't compare it to the Aggies game last season. I picked Notre Dame to beat the Aggies last season in College Station. They did do that, so I'm not doubting their ability. What I'm doubting here is the veteran Carson Beck, who's played great defenses, and the very young, highly regarded quarterback, very first game on the road versus Beck. I have to go with the veteran this game. They started out the season 0-1. No one panic. Not saying you are going to miss the playoffs. It is the first game. If you are ever going to lose a game, you want it to be game one. But I do think it's going to be a very close, low-scoring game. Let's take Miami 27-24. They win it. And then after that, you're going to have a team that you beat last season, Saturday, September 13th, versus the Texas A&M Aggies. This is the team you started out with last season. You beat them on the road, College Station. Now you are welcoming them to your home field. You are ready. CJ Carr coming off that loss. He's going to show great flashes. He's going to see some of the things he needs to work on. Use that as a building block. That's something that you have to face. He's going to learn from this. The team is going to learn from this. They're going to see the bright areas. They're going to see the spots where they just had to touch up on a couple things, and they'll come out the very next week even more polished. With the Aggies here, this is still a talented team, still a top 10 overall roster when you are looking at blue chips for 5 stars. This is a Mike Elko team. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to run the ball. They also want to beat you at the line of scrimmage, but that is Notre Dame's bread and butter. That's their strength. They're going to have a good run game. Mike Elko, you know they're going to be disciplined. He wants to make up for that loss last season. That was a very close game. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame getting the rebound, beating an SEC team again, back-to-back seasons. They proved they could do it many times last season. They want to keep that. There's always going to be SEC doubters, SEC haters saying that no one can beat the SEC. That's not the case. Notre Dame wins this one. A lower scoring game, but they win it. I'm going to say it's going to be like a 24-18 game. In this next game, you see that Notre Dame is really starting to build some momentum. You're going to have Barry Odom's team, the Purdue Boilermakers, Saturday, September 20th. This is going to be an easy win, also coming to play you on your home field. Notre Dame, that offense is going to start stretching his legs. Look for CJ Carr. After that loss, he's going to be getting better every single week. The player he is in the final week of the college football season will not be the player that played Miami week 1. Notre Dame's going to win this one. They're going to win this one to me handedly, 38-10. And this is actually an under-the-radar, really tough game you have coming up next Saturday, September 27th at the Arkansas Razorbacks. Again, proof that Notre Dame is willing to play anyone, anytime, any place. They're playing another SEC team when there's no reason they had to schedule Arkansas. Arkansas is always one of those under-the-radar competitive teams. They're never a good team, but they're never a bad team. 6, 7 wins every single season. A lot of very close one-possession losses, even versus the big dogs, the Bulldogs, Bama. They play them very close. They're going to have Taylon Green. This is a really good quarterback. This is a dual-threat quarterback. He can sling it. He can run it. They actually had a top 30 offense last season. They're going to be physical. They're going to try to challenge you. They're going to try to score some points here. They are going to be at home. Arkansas, a very tough place to play. It is SEC country, and SEC fans hate Notre Dame. It's a passion for them. They hate the independent Northwest school. They're going to be out there in force. They're going to be loud. But I'm sorry, Notre Dame defense travels with them. They're going to shut that crowd up. They'll have it shut down by first half. That defense is going to dominate. The offense might struggle here on the road again. You had some good games. You are due for kind of a setback, but the defense is going to carry the way, and then the offense is going to close it out in the fourth quarter. Look for Notre Dame to win this one. They'll be 3-1, and they're going to win it 28-14. And again, Notre Dame playing another tough game when they didn't have to. You're going to have Saturday, October 4th, the Boise State Broncos. This team made the Final 12 last season. This team made the playoffs. When you look here, you have 3 teams that were ranked this past season within your top 5 games. 3 teams that are probably going to be ranked the week that Notre Dame plays them. Very tough strength of schedule this season. I don't want to hear the haters saying Notre Dame plays no one, because again, every season you are always proven wrong. Boise State, yes, they don't have Ashton Gentry, thank God. Ashton Gentry, no matter who he played, when he played Penn State last season, he still got his, and that was a great defense. He was the best running back in the nation, one of the best running back performances we will have seen in modern college football the last 2 decades. He's not going to be there. Boise State is still going to be a good team. Boise State is still potentially a 10-win team, but they are not going to be able to consistently move the ball, in my opinion, here versus this Notre Dame front seven. I have Notre Dame playing a very close game, very competitive game the first 1 or 2 quarters, but it's the depth, it's the physicality that's going to separate itself by the second half. Notre Dame is going to pull away. They're going to win this game 34-17. So right now you're sitting 4-1. You're starting to feel pretty good. You're starting to see that offense play better. The defense is really getting into its own. Down the stretch, that defense continued to perform better week in and week out last season. Right now, the very next game you're going to be facing is going to be an ACC matchup. You're going to have Saturday, October 11th versus NC State Wolfpack. This team, not the Wolfpack team that we've seen in the last, 3 to 4 seasons. The last 2 years, the defense hasn't quite been playing up to par. The offense, their best playmaker, Concepcion, gone. He transferred out. They're going to have issues at quarterback. They're going to have issues from their offense, from their defense. That front seven for them used to be a strength of this team 5 years ago. That's not the case now. Notre Dame's going to win this game. They're going to dominate this game. I think they win it 38-17. Now, this next game was actually a pretty close game because you're going to be facing one of the best offensive minds. I personally think the best offensive mind in college football right now. Saturday, October 18th versus USC. This game's going to be at home. You're going to be facing the Trojans. The Trojans, the number 1 recruiting class in the nation coming in next season. But that's not going to help them this year. That's next year. They just have to win some games to maintain that class this season. Mayava at the quarterback position. Sometimes he shows you some sparks. Sometimes he turns the ball over and you're just left scratching your head. He's going to have some turnovers this game. It is what it is. He's playing a ball-hawking, aggressive Notre Dame defense. There's going to be turnovers, probably 2 to 3 turnovers this game, but he's also going to show you some flashes of what his ceiling could potentially be. If he were to play completely clean, he'll have 1 or 2 really good touchdown passes, and then he'll have some turnovers. It just kind of is what it is, but this is a Lincoln Riley team. Much improved defense under D'Anton Lynn. The strides they took last season showed they're going to be even better this season. They just need to build up that depth in order to compete in the third and fourth quarter of these extremely physical games. One of the best wide receiver cores in the nation. Elaine and company, this team's going to be deep. They're going to score some points. No matter who your defense is, Lincoln Riley is going to get some points. It is what he is. No matter who they play, they score points. But Notre Dame, they're probably going to be able to out-physical them for a lot of these quarters, but you've had a really good run here. You've won some really good games. You are due for one of those games that you have to use as a core principle for building this team forward. I have Notre Dame, surprisingly, you guys are going to hate this. I have Notre Dame dropping this game in a very close matchup. This is going to drop them down right now to 5-2. Still, there's absolutely no reason to panic. I think it's going to be a close, high-scoring game. Give me a 32-28 USC Trojans win. Notre Dame fans, don't panic. Everything is still in front of you. Saturday, November 1st at Boston College. This is a Bill O'Brien team. They want to run the ball. They want to be physical. He's had to completely transform this roster these last 2 seasons. He wants to get more physical. He needs a great quarterback. We know what he's used to. This guy's a good coach, a disciplined coach, but massive talent disparity here. This game might be close first quarter, but coming off that loss, just like the first game versus Miami, this team is going to use it as a building block. Young quarterback, you have to have those stumbles. That's what sets you up when you reach the highs later on, especially this season. Notre Dame down this last stretch here, the last 6 games, that's when Notre Dame gets really hot. That's the way it worked last season. That's the way it's going to work here. Notre Dame wins this game. To me, they win this game big. Let's say it's a 44-14. And Notre Dame really shellacked this team. They beat Navy by 37 points last season. Navy actually had, somewhat of a decent competitive team last year. Saturday, November 8th versus Navy. The midshipmen here coming to play Notre Dame at their house. Notre Dame, they know how to play these triple option spread teams. They play them every season. They beat them by 37 last year. To me, they're going to beat them by a bunch here. I have Notre Dame winning this game 40-13. So right now you're sitting at 7-2, 3 games left. If you hit that double-digit 10-win mark, no matter who you are, if you are the Notre Dame brand, I'm sorry, even though you don't play in a conference, even though you don't have a conference championship, you're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to hold your respected brand out of the playoffs. If they do, that's an abomination, guys. I don't see it happening. Right now, 7-2. And then you have another team that you're actually really familiar with playing. The next matchup you're going to be looking at is an ACC matchup Saturday, November 15th at the Pittsburgh Panthers on the road here. It's going to be cold. That's one thing they use to their advantage. That's not an advantage versus the Notre Dame team coming out of Indiana. They are used to the cold. They love playing in the cold, the snow. They love freezing to death. That's their specialty. They're going to out-physical you at that line of scrimmage. Think of it being cold, how physical Notre Dame is. People's hands are freezing. They can't feel their fingers. Notre Dame, they're going to run it at you. That's where Jeremiah Love starts to ground and pound these teams down the stretch leading up to the playoff run. I have Notre Dame winning this one. They're going to beat the Panthers, who had a pretty good offense last season. It's not going to help them here. Notre Dame's going to win this one 30-13. And then you have another team who loves playing in the cold, but they play in a dome, so it doesn't matter. They play in a dome, and they're coming to Indiana to play in the freezing ice cold Saturday, November 22nd. The Syracuse Orange. What a season they had last year. 10 wins. Kyle McCord, Pavia last season. They had a great team. Kyle McCord led Division I, led all of college football in passing, but he's gone. That elite wide receiver core, they're gone. Fran Brown, though, he's built something really special here at Syracuse. They're not known for being good. He is recruiting well. He is working the portal, but he's going to have a young team here with a lot of new starters in the freezing cold against Notre Dame. When people can't feel their fingers, they're going to start having turnovers. They're going to start fumbling. They're going to start throwing interceptions, and that's what Notre Dame, they're going to force that even more so. Give me Notre Dame to win this game, to win it handily here, 27-14. You are 9-2 right now. I already said if you finish 10-2, you will make the playoffs. And then you have the Stanford Cardinals, one of the best academic schools in the nation here. Yes, Saturday, November 29th at Stanford Cardinals. You're going to be able to get out of the cold. It's going to be nice and sunny. The weather's going to feel good. There's going to be the beaches. Everything's going to be great in California. You just got to win this last game. That's all you have to do. And thank God for you. You are playing the Stanford Cardinals, who are one of the worst teams in the nation. Let's call it like it is. They're the worst team in the ACC. One of the worst teams, might be the worst team in Division I in the Power 4. Notre Dame, this game's not going to be close at any point. From kickoff, it's going to be a curb stomping. You might run the kickoff back for a touchdown. That's how much zero confidence I have in Stanford. They're going to lose it within the first second. Right when the foot hits the ball, they're down 7 points. I have Notre Dame winning this one 48-6. No matter what, it's going to be a handed win. There you have it. I have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish finishing the regular season with a 10-2 record. What does that mean? I do think you guys are going to make the playoffs this season. You might think all is lost if you lose to Miami. If you beat Miami week 1, you are for sure 99.9% making the playoffs this season. Everything is in front of you. That's your biggest hurdle, is the very first start of Carr's career on the road in a very tough weather and atmosphere environment. If you win that, everything's in front of you. You are set. I have you losing it here, but that being a learning block for Carr to be even better this season, overcoming adversity, overcoming that week 1 loss, getting better as a player. 10-2 record. Notre Dame, they don't win the conference because they don't have a conference, but they make the playoffs and they continue potentially another run at the national championship. Guys, that's our predictions for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish for 2025 to 2026. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, by all means, drop them below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? What are your thoughts on the Fighting Irish? What are your thoughts on the games this season? Let me know down there, and I will make sure that I respond to every single comment. If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, look down at the pinned comment below. Click on that link. You can sign up there, and I would definitely appreciate it. And, of course, as always, thank you for watching.